Jalen Carter was absolutely dominant this past Thursday, proving to be one of the toughest players in the trenches. He gave problems to virtually everyone on the offensive line. And he is a player whose ceiling is through the roof, and he has put together a nice string of games. His performance is crucial for the Philadelphia defense. Being surrounded by players like Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, N'Kobe Dean, and Josh Sweat, the Eagles have true powerhouse players in the front seven. It's all about focusing and coming together as a unit. When it comes down to a player like Carter, everything starts with him up front. If he continues to stack performances like this, it allows the entire defensive unit to take that next step. So on this play here, you see Jalen Carter use great effort, a trait that dates back since his college days. He has a knack for being physical and playing to the whistle. As an offensive lineman, you must get into proper position right at the snap of the ball because Carter is powerful enough to disengage quickly if you don't. Seeing him get a tackle for loss and lay his body on a line is enough to get you fired up, Eagles Nation. So activating the system. So running this play here, you see that they're getting off the ball and the tackle strikes him on his outside shoulder. And the thing is, if you're going to be a player that's not playing with proper technique, going up against a guy like Jalen Carter, he will beat you quickly, disengaging and finding a way to attack Brian Robinson. But the thing that's so special about this play, just watching the effort that this player is using, whatever it takes when it comes down to this defense, are you going to be a player that's going to step up when your number is called? And with Jalen Carter is not perfect when it comes down to this type of player, but you will see a lot of flashes of dominance. And if this player can be able to stack this up and be consistent, he can potentially be one of the better defensive tackles in this league. And a lot of these offensive linemen, when you're going up against these guys, they're not using good technique, they're slow off the ball. And a player like Jalen Carter, he's going to have to use their mistakes as his advantage. But seeing him disengaging from the offensive tackle and finding a way to get to the running back, this is what you want to see when it comes down to your young defensive tackle. One notable trait of Jalen Carter is his ability to quickly jump into different gaps. And this movement often catches both linemen and ball carriers off guard, forcing them to make a split-second decision. And Jalen Carter is a dynamic defensive tackle. While he may not always make the play himself, he excels at disrupting the offense and creating opportunities for his teammates. And this was evident in his performance against the Commanders. So we go ahead and split it. So zooming in on Jalen Carter, just studying his movements, and he hops into the A gap. And it's so sudden when it comes down to this player, it can catch anybody on his offensive line off guard. And looking at Tyler Biadasz, it looked like he was holding him, but this player is so strong that he still had the ability to stretch his left arm and distract Brian Robinson. He didn't make the tackle on this play, but if you're a defensive tackle that can be able to get their hands on a ball carrier, every second matters when it comes down to this defense. That might buy time for the other players to rally to the ball and make key tackles. And with Tyler Biadasz, he has always had problems with Jalen Carter. So this dates back to when he was playing with the Dallas Cowboys. But with a guy like Carter, not every defensive tackle is athletic enough to be able to hop from the B gap all the way to the A gap so quickly. And with these coaches, if they're going to put a guy like him in this type of position, you got to have that aggression as well as that athleticism to be able to implement these type of plays in a defense. So being a player that can completely hop from a different gap and find a way to be able to slow down that running back, this ended up being another good rep by Carter. Going out there and being physical and playing to the whistle. Here's another play here of him being able to completely bench press that tackle, forcing that running back to make a quick decision. So looking at this play here, they're getting off the ball and he strikes that tackle. And with Jalen Carter, he has those vice grips. If he can be able to get his hands inside of your pecs, he can be able to control you at the line of scrimmage, forcing a wall on that right side. And Brian Robinson had to go the opposite way. But the good thing is, whenever you have a situation where Jalen Carter is walling off one side, he's two gapping and controlling his area, it's going to allow these other players to be able to roam free and make plays. When you have a defensive lineman that can be able to eat up blocks, if you're not forcing these offensive linemen to be able to get down to the second level, it allows these linebackers, these defensive ends, the safeties to be able to roam sideline to sideline. And this is sound football when it comes down to defense. That's why a lot of these scouts and coaches, they go out there and try to find those space eaters. Jordan Davis will continue to see how he progresses, but those players at the defensive tackle position, it is the heartbeat of the defense. And these are the plays that go unnoticed, but we have to break it down when it comes down to these film sessions, because even if the ball is not going his way, that doesn't mean that he did not have a big impact on his play. But seeing the physicality and the ability to be able to shock that tackle, that's the type of rep here that separates the men from the boys. So here's another rep here that I saw of him lining in between the center and that guard. And just like on the first clip with Washington's offensive line, soon as they snapped the ball, they did not have leverage. And watching his film, he went out there and really had a field day. He was in the backfield making tackles. He was stressing out the quarterback. If you do not get in proper position when you're going up against him, he will literally eat you up all night and put you on a highlight reel. So when you are going up against a player like him, the entire offensive line has to have an understanding of what everybody is doing, because if not, this player will destroy a play quickly. So we'll go ahead and run it. So running this play here, just watching the center attack his inside shoulder, is riding him all the way to the backfield. You do not want a guy that's over 320 pounds living in the backfield, attacking quarterbacks as well as running backs. Being a player that's completely disrupting this whole entire play. And he tried to make the tackle right there. One thing I would like to see from him is being able to finish these type of plays. Once he really locks in and he's able to do that, he is going to be a complete force. But it's good to see, because if you're a player in the backfield, you got the tackle busy, you got the center busy. It's another one of those plays that's going to free up the cornerback. It's freeing up guys like Jordan Davis. This is what you want to see when it comes down to a solid defense. When you're playing teams, when games really matter, you need those defensive tackles to be physical. If these centers and guards, if they're not getting in the proper position, you're going to have to go out there, gain leverage, and get in position to make these plays. And with Jalen Carter, he has a knack for getting everybody fired up with his relentless play. And not only the defense, the offense as well. So this type of energy here will get the whole team going. Another impressive aspect of Carter's performance this past Thursday was his effective use of the club swim move to reach the ball carrier. Proper hand usage is huge for the interior position. So it was great to see this technique executed well by Carter. So let's run it. So locking in on Carter, you see that he's lurking and he uses a quick club swim move. And the thing is, with these offensive linemen, sometimes they end up being clumsy. If you can be able to finesse and get past these players, that can be the biggest difference on these plays. Finding a way to gain leverage and attack Robinson again, knocking this guy in the dirt. With this player, it's so good to be able to break down the trenches, and not only having him on that defensive line, you got another big boy in Jordan Davis as well. But if you're a defensive tackle that has the ability to be powerful, you can use club swim moves, you can use rip moves, you can spin off of these offensive linemen. That is the ingredients to be able to sharpen your skill set. And it is definitely needed as they go along in the season. So on this final play here, it's another play where he went out there, clogged things up, and flooded the line of scrimmage. You'll see the defensive ends collapse the line of scrimmage and stop the Commanders on fourth down. And this is a thing of beauty when it comes down to the trenches, Eagles Nation. So we'll go ahead and spin it. So locking on this play, you see Jalen Carter, the center and the guard, they both attacked them. But it's so good because whenever you have a dominant defensive tackle, you're going to be occupied by double teams. But seeing Brandon Graham and Bond lay a body on Brian Robinson. And with Brandon Graham, he completely depleted that tight end. You got to have players that can go out there and be physical and do this game in and game out. If this team is going to take that next step, they need these players out there rallying to the ball and going out there and putting in solid work. So this was definitely one of the better games for the Eagles trenches. So it's going to be good to see how this all plays out. Not only is this team good on offense, they have a lot of good players on defense, but you're going to be going up against a lot of top tier teams. There are no excuses when it comes down to Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, the coaching staff. If these guys are going to take that next step, they got to go out there and do it now. But with Jalen Carter playing that interior position, you're being a big time disruptor. You can stop the run, you can get after the passer. It's going to be good to see how this player progresses going forward. So comment below and let me know what you guys think about Jalen Carter's performance. And do you think he's only scratching the surface of his potential? So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you don't hit it, you'll miss out on fire updates and the best football film sessions on YouTube. All right, Eagles Nation. Talk to y'all soon. Gone.